Hey guys, today we're talking about finding unlikely adventure. Have you ever tried something and then quit? Have you ever wanted to give up smoking or maybe eat better? Maybe go back to school, try a new job or career path? Maybe you just wanted to do something emotionally and spiritually. Maybe you wanted to be more loving or be a little bit less angry. Well, I know that I've worked on those things and then I just kind of failed and left it by the wayside. Well, what I want to encourage you guys to do today is, if one of those things is something that God's called you to, man, pick it back up, get back up, and get back in the game. Because here's the deal. Satan has been whispering to you that you suck, that you blew it, that you failed. But here's the truth. You haven't failed until you're not willing to get back up, until you're not willing to give it a go. So maybe you tried to quit smoking and you made it a few days. We'll see if you can make it a few more days. Maybe you can make some changes. Maybe you can invite God in and do it in His power. In fact, 1 Thessalonians 5:24 says, hey, if God called you to do it, He will do it for you. That's my paraphrase. But we're going to look today to get an idea of this at the life of Moses. And we're going to start in the New Testament, which is odd. But in Acts chapter 7, we learn that Moses, at age 40, he kind of had some sort of an idea that God was calling him to be used as the redemption for Israel. And he just goes about it in his own power, and he falls down. He ends up killing an Egyptian, and then he's ostracized by the Israelites, which in turn makes him an outlaw to Egypt, and he flees. Well, here's a key as to how we know that God's called us to something. He will revisit it. And here's the deal, is that 40 years later for Moses at the burning bush, he's revisiting it. And this interaction to me is one of the most amazing and just kind of honest interactions in the whole Bible. It's just intriguing to me how Moses argues with God. Did you know that? Did you know he's kind of arguing with God? He's putting up all these excuses, all these reasons why he can't be used to bring forth the redemption of God's people. So it starts out with number one. He basically does the old, you're talking to me? Right? He says, I'm nobody. I don't live in Pharaoh's house anymore. I don't have any special privileges. Then he goes on to the next one. He's like, well, under whose authority? I don't have Pharaoh's ear anymore. Under whose authority am I going to do this? Right? And then he says, they won't believe me. And he's talking about the Israelites. They're not going to believe me. He's been ostracized. I got kicked out of that place. Those guys, they didn't want me before. They're not going to want me now. Then he goes on to one that often gets us, right? I'm just not physically or mentally capable. He says, I don't think I can just actually do it. And in each one of these things, God says, hey, I'll take care of it. This is how I'll do it. Then the final one, right? He says, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to go. That's in Exodus chapter 4, verse 13. He says, I don't want to do it. This is the time when God gets angry. This is God's response. Is why? What do you mean? I've told you, I called you, I will take you through it. And here's the deal. If we look at Moses' life and we think, would it have been better had he stayed in Midian being a shepherd, as opposed to, certainly there were stumbling blocks and places that he fell throughout his next 40 years of adventure, but I don't think he would have given it up, because it was truly amazing to see the Red Sea part, to see manna fall from the sky, to see even from a distance the promised land. And here's the deal, guys. Over and over, I cannot express it enough, but if God called you to do it, just get back up. You can do it. And I just encourage you to trust in God, to ask God, have this conversation. Just don't tell him that one thing. Don't tell him you won't go. Don't tell him you won't get back up. So I don't know what it is that maybe God's calling you to do, but man, I encourage you to pick it up, to get back up, dust yourself off. You can do it. All right, signing out.